Here we are, Zen with a smile. This is a constant work in progress. And it's only a few short months ago that I did my first chapter/episode and had to redo it. Audio was terrible. Since then, I've done some work, got an external microphone, still working on the lighting. But as my friend said, the logistics, the setup, is not what's important, it's the message that's important. And thanks to him. But it has to be watchable and listenable, doesn't it? Yeah. A couple of things I want to start off with. Number one is how I use my hands. Too much of this, I know. I'm really working on it. I like to make circle or spiral. But this is, I guess, instant enlightenment waking up. But I noticed that I did that far too much. So I'm working on my mudras, hand gestures. I have a good friend the same friend that helped me suggested to me about my concerns about my studio, so to speak, my studio/meditation room. This same friend, dear friend, somehow doesn't like the use of Sanskrit mudras, the hand gestures. He doesn't like mudras. He says, hand gestures. What is this? And at the same time, it seemed ironic to me because I like Sanskrit, and I think Sangha, the family, your group, I think the Dharma, I think Karma, Samadhi. Yeah, I think that Sanskrit lends itself well to spiritual usage. I think the sounds of the words it captures. But the same lovely soul has no objections to using Chinese. Chinese is not his first language, but he knows enough to converse and make his way, make himself understood. And he shared a spiritual teacher with me. And the teacher is Chinese. And he used Chinese terms for all the stages, for everything. And my friend readily accepted the Chinese. But he'll draw the line in the sense, no Sanskrit. Chinese is okay, and he used the Chinese terminology. Well, I have no objections to that, no problems with it. But I do have a preference for the Sanskrit. So, there we go. By the way, that's something I'm working on. The soul, when I'm trying to gather my thoughts and go on to what's next. But what I wanted to talk about today was, so what? So what? My teacher is the most enlightened. He's a Buddha walking on earth. He's a God. He's the only one. And to all of this I say, so what? Not even a question, a statement. How do I know my teacher's enlightened one? How do I know? So you should know. You should feel a bond. In Chinese, I think. The connection. Yeah. And whether the teacher is really enlightened or not, so what? So what? In the course of, in the reality of the difference it would make to you. To study under an enlightened master must be nice, yeah, it has to be nice. But I think that there's been thousands or tens of thousands of adept, really good teachers who had a deep understanding and who were able to relate, and more importantly, willing to spend time teaching. Historically, all this wisdom, the Dharma, was kept away from the masses, wasn't accessible to any but a few, the chosen ones. But maybe that served a time and purpose, but that day has long passed. And now, sincere, valid teachings are readily available. I know there's a lot of good stuff on the internet. I mentioned the last time that Adyashanti is somebody that I find fantastic, amazing, well-spoken, with meaningful and enlightened teachings. And also I like Sadhguru from India, more the classic Indian guru. But I've listened to Sadhguru. There's a lot of good things available on the internet that you could listen to too. So, there I am, so, as I flounder. What could I use besides so? I'll work on that, work in progress. But really where I wanted to go today was to talk about the importance of asking this question, making it a question from a statement, so what, to so what. And this became also a mantra for me. It helped me to meet the challenges that life brought to me. My first wife wanted a divorce, and I struggled to get to the place where I could say, so what? So what? All the obstacles that life presents to us ultimately are opportunities, aren't they? I'm sure you've noticed that too. That without challenges, there's no growth. Too much water, too good of soil, too good of an environment leads to stagnation, or more likely, complacency. I found that so, living so many years in Hawaii. There's a blessed place, God's place, heaven on earth. But it bred with me. Along with it came a complacency. Acceptance, being satisfied with the conditions I was in. And I noticed after I've gotten away from Hawaii the last 20 years, I go back and I visit high school classmates and friends, and I see the stagnation. I've lived in another alien to me, although they consider me the alien. Yeah, who's the alien? Well, it depends on the eye of the beholder, doesn't it? But day-to-day challenges, culture shock, whatever kind of shock you have, go live in a foreign country for many years. But it keeps you vibrant. It's like trimming the tree to promote growth. If you just let it alone, it tends to atrophy. The condition of the universe seems to lean towards atrophy. So we need these challenges that life presents to combat stagnation, to encourage growth. So many times over, I'm thankful for the growth that was necessary for me to survive these years in Taiwan. I'm certain I wouldn't be where I am today without the lessons learned. So, I'm acutely oversensitive to so. What else could I use? What else could I use besides so? Well, let's try well. Well, learning to work towards equanimity, which I believe is at least in my case, was the most important goal of my spiritual journey, my spiritual self. It became more important than finding out so-called answers. What's it all about? Why are we here? Important questions, and again, indeed, they motivated me early. But attaining something, more important than attaining enlightenment, was equanimity. The ability to face any situation in life with a balanced, peaceful attitude. No room for victimization. No room for blame, judgment, criticism. Equanimity became the be-all and end-all, because I deeply understood that until you're in such a state of mind, until you're able to say, so what, to the challenges of life, the difficulties of being in the world in which we find ourselves, this equanimity, for my purposes, equanimity is, the state of equanimity is far superior to bliss. bliss I've mentioned is readily available. There's a place you can go internally through here that will lead you to the doors of bliss. And I've never successfully navigated this and said, okay, I want to be bliss, let's go get a kiss of bliss. No. But there are times in deep meditation, in times of prolonged meditation, and times when totally not expected, a beautiful sunset, sitting on the beach, looking at the waves, and the portal would appear to bliss. But again, it's a state that I couldn't maintain. It didn't feel like I could maintain my grip on my physical self. I think that when it's time to leave, when it's time to move on, that immersion into bliss may be part of what happens. So the ability to, the ability to say, so what? And so what? I mentioned in the beginning that there's a so what? Is a nonverbal cue for me to remind me of that there isn't anything that I can't handle. There isn't anything that I can't help but look for lessons lying therein. All the while maintaining a sense of equanimity, experiencing equanimity. Well, I'm suggesting a tool. I'm offering this as a tool for you to deal with, to look for some sort of resolution. Actually, resolution is probably not the best word because very seldom do we really resolve the problems that life presents. We learn to deal with it. We learn how to respond. And ultimately, we learn about acceptance, especially of those things over which we can exert no control. Deaths, illnesses, the biggest roadblocks maybe, maybe the biggest challenges. But again, learn to look at yourself and say, so what? And I might caution you, I might suggest that you keep this as an internal dialogue. People don't really do too well when they give you a problem and you say, so what? Most people would take umbrage, might feel insulted. So we're talking about internal dialogue. internal, and probably eternal too, as long as we're alive. Challenges, problems, setbacks will come. And we can get some sense of relief that occasionally good things happen, in the course of our daily lives. Birth of children, new satisfactory jobs, relationships that seem like they just might have a chance of working. So, for there's always a balance. Life seeks balance. And I've mentioned that my struggle with what I interpreted to be the middle way was more closely allied, was more understandable, more relatable when I thought of it in terms of balance. So learn to use whatever catchphrase works for you. It should become familiar so that it's readily available when the time is right. It's readily available when it's applicable. You won't be caught flat-footed. So it's a preparation. It's about being prepared. And on the other side of it, there's always the other side, isn't there? On the other side of this, there's things that are so. It's still basically, so what? Personal enlightenment. Attainable. This is what's so. But ultimately, in the end, it becomes, so what? Yeah. We've reached enlightenment. Yeah. It's what's so. But, so what? We still have to live. We still have to do all the necessary things to support ourselves, to keep this form in functioning. And the biggest so what of what's so, when we talk about enlightenment or awakening, is that the natural condition of everyone. It's what's so. We're all enlightened. We're just in different states of awareness of our own being. We're in different stages of development. For each of us, the day will come when you will be fully awakened. And then it'll be your turn to say, what's so? This is so. What is so? When you look at what the universe truly is, what life ultimately unveils itself to be. But there's a great big, this is what's so, but you'll have the so what moment will put everything into perspective. It will take that apparent extraordinary event or a series of occurrences and put them back in the realm of ordinariness.